Speaking of first week sales, Kanye posted something that I think we all already knew and I've talked about a lot because I've even talked to a lot of people, not even a lot. I've talked to a few people that, let's just say, they know the people that do first week sales. Yes, you can literally, as an artist, buy first week sales. It's ridiculous. Like, if you do the math, and we've been over it so many times, that if you do the math and you divide all the streams by let's take this post. Scorpion. I feel like a lot of Drake's streams are real though, just because he's like the golden child, right? But even let's take Drake. Let's assume that all these are real, but regardless, 746 million streams in the US. Do y'all realize what's the US population? Okay. It's 340 million. You're telling me that every person in the US, and I know like people are listening to a whole album multiple times or whatever, but you're telling me on average, the entire US population is listening to Drake's Scorpion in the first week almost twice. No. So these and this is just streaming. This isn't even radio. A lot of old people, think about all the like children, think about all of the old ass people who don't even know what Spotify is. They're listening to only radio. They got CDs and shit. We're talking about just streams, okay? So that even limits the population even further. So, and I know one stream is not one person. I'm just saying on average, okay? Because I know I know a lot of people listen to an album multiple times within the first week. I totally get that. I really do. But as I was saying, the population even gets smaller because of children and old people. So there's only like a certain demographic of like middle-aged people, like between, 13 to like 45 that are really streaming a Drake album at least once. And so these labels are buying first week sales and streams, one for the algorithm so that like it gets it into playlists. They got whole bot farms that put a bunch of songs that are related to one another, such as Drake and Kendrick and any of these big artists, Lil Baby, whatever. And so these bots stream all these songs with popular songs. They put the new songs from the album with other popular songs so that it gets in the algorithm so that related listeners to Lil Baby, Kendrick Lamar, and everybody else, it goes into their algorithm and gets recommended to them. I'm just telling y'all the system here. And then you can also buy first week sales just so that you can use it to market it on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Like, ooh, Drake, and I know Drake sells a lot, but I'm just, for example, he sold 1 million copies the first week. And it's like, well, the way you calculate streaming, you have to divide it by 1,500. So what is that? 746 million divided by 1,500. That comes out to nearly 500K first week, which again, for Drake, like that makes sense. However, I just feel like it's inflated. Like everybody is inflated by like at least like 30%. I don't know how much, but I don't think the labels know either. There's like, yo, just run the bot farms, China. Go ahead. Do you think Cardi did that with I Am Music? Look, I'm not saying anybody's doing it specifically, but I'm just saying every label is doing it. Okay? Because now look at this chart. You see, like just the publicity of music, hypothetically, being on this top 10 chart right here for streams and then first week sales of 300K. Think about how much conversation that was and how much like reiteration and encouragement that made other people who haven't even listened to the project or who didn't like the project off the rip listen to it or listen to it again and then start to like it, because all marketing is like psychology. Y'all know TikTok, where, you know, you might not like a song at first, but if enough people post using a certain sound, it is going to, you're going to eventually like it. It's just how humans work, because at first we're like, oh, fuck that. Like, I'll just hear it once. But then you heard it the 10th time. It's a thing in advertising too. Like they'll show you an advertisement like 10 times before somebody really gets you, like they reel you in. Because the first time you're like, fuck this person. Who's that one guy who's like, I'm in my garage, knowledge, whatever. If you saw that the first time, you'd be like, this dude is a lame. But then eventually you're like, all right, I fuck with this guy. Like, maybe you don't like him, but like I get it now. Like, he's famous as fuck just for planting in our minds. Ty Lopez, thank you. And I actually watch his podcast. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, that marketing is all psychology. And so that's why they do it. Cause now if you didn't like music, you're probably going to be like, okay, you know what? Maybe it wasn't that bad. A lot of people are listening to this. So, and it sold really well. Like, it must be way better than I thought originally. But let's get to Kanye's post.
So yeah, I'm recording live from Japan right now, and I was talking to my boy, and I was talking about how I release bully just on my Twitter, and how I like the idea of being on DSPs, but I don't like the fact that they show the numbers, because every single musician now pays more money to get their first week numbers than we make off of the actual album. So then you got to make your money through brand deals and touring. And if you say anything against the brand deal, you can get your brand drop. So now they have the control of what you say. And when you go touring, you know who gets paid off of the touring. So they're eating every which way. And there had to be a moment where they said, we have to control what these guys are making. So yeah, I'm reporting live.
All right. I think Kanye's low-key tripping for like half of what he's saying. Like he's like right on the first part, but then the second half he goes into like a conspiracy theorist type of rabbit hole where, like, yes, labels are buying first week sales and streams. Now, are the artists specifically going broke doing this? No, because when artists have deals with record labels, they utilize the marketing budget, or the record label or the management or the marketing agency, they utilize the marketing budget. Yes, this puts them further into debt, but technically if you don't use the marketing budget, then like, depending on the contract, I guess, and I don't know this for sure because I haven't really been in one that's like that large, but like they're not going to use that against you as debt. But if you do buy first week sales by throwing a bag at streams and merch bundles or whatever, because, you know, again, for marketing purposes, to psychologically fuck people into listening into your album, I don't think that it puts the artists into, like, it doesn't make them go broke because they got the advance and they're not really seeing any more money for a while until it recoups. But they're not, most artists, when they get into record deals, they low-key don't even expect, where if someone's explained it to them properly, they should not expect to get or to recoup and then start getting residuals on their music for a long time, because that advance in the recording budget and the marketing budget is likely going to take a long time to recoup, because that's the whole point of the advance. Like, you're basically getting the money that the album was going to make in advance. And now the label business is like, we're going to give you money up front, but we think that we can make more money than this advance, so we're going to profit off of it. You get what I'm saying? Plus they get like fees, among other things, within just the recoup as well. So technically when you recoup, you actually recouped more than what you got through the advance and marketing budget, recording budget. But Kanye is right because you don't even get 100% of the stream income. Are you talking about like Spotify because they take their cut? I mean, it all just comes down to streaming has disrupted the music industry in a good way and a bad way, because now, due to the algorithm, due to the reach and the distribution of your music across the world, as opposed to everyone having to buy your CD, now someone can just pay $10 a month or 15, whatever it is now. They can listen to whatever music they want and all the music they want in that time period. Whereas before, like for $10, $15, you can only listen to one album. So now they can listen to more artists. There's more opportunity for artists. However, that hurts the artists in a way. Again, that was a positive before, but the negative here, the con, is that they don't get paid as much. But they're also splitting a pool that is filled with more hands because more people are listening to underground artists. More people were even able to make like 10 or not 10 years ago, 2015. So let's say 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you couldn't even really list your music on streaming platforms. Maybe you could, but like in a very weird way, like MySpace. I don't even know. You couldn't distribute your music through Spotify and Apple Music to make money, at least at the level now, where if you're an underground rapper and you do your business correctly, you can actually make a living off of your music. So now that we have like millions of those across the world that are on Spotify and Apple Music, like now that's why everybody's getting paid less, because there's so many more artists splitting that one pool of money that was at one point centralized for like the Beatles or like any of the big rock bands or just artists in general, that the labels were pushing only like a select few of them. You know what I mean? 20 years ago, you had to pray you got in the hot in the local scene. Exactly. Like you had to go to your local bar and like play music, send in your demos to record labels and hope and pray and probably do obscene things to grown men to get a record deal so that you could be famous and rich. Like someone was blessing you basically so that you could get money. Whereas now you can do it yourself. I mean, look at me right now. I'm like streaming on Twitch and I'm posting videos on YouTube. 20 years ago, same shit. I couldn't have done that. So like it's a good thing and a bad thing, because like there are people like me or like artists who can make a living off doing this, which was not a thing before. Whereas before, if you wanted to do it, you had to like get hired by a television channel or a radio station and be a host there. You know what I mean? That was until Soulja Boy came. Exactly. And then he sold his ringtones independently with Crank That. Yo, that was actually revolutionary. Like, I don't really like Soulja Boy like that. But you got to give credit where it's due. You got to give him his flowers for sure. Festivals be keeping the lights on for these artists too. Yeah, I mean, again, though, it's the same thing. So festivals, the reason that most people can't sell out shows is because people's attention spans are so dispersed between so many different artists. So like before, again, like you'd be only going to like Drake and Kanye and like Kendrick Lamar concerts, but now you're a big fan of like I'm not gonna say Yeet, but like name like some underground rappers, like I don't even know, like Glock 40 Spaz, Laser Dim, Xavier So Bass, Netspend. Like you like these artists potentially enough to go to their show, but like most people aren't big enough fans to go to just their maybe that's a bad example because they are selling out tickets, but like say Xavier So Bass, like I don't know if he's going like nationwide selling a tour. That's not a diss towards him because I couldn't do that either. But now most artists can't do that because again, there's fans are fans of multiple artists at the same time. So now like festivals congregate them all and sell them in a big ticket price. This goes for EDM as well. And then the festivals pay the artist. Now you could argue like, well, they're not paying them enough. Like if they went on tour, they make so much more money. Well, most artists can't do that. Okay. Just like before with the streaming and before streaming existed, most artists wouldn't get the chance to even make money from their music. So like low key, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. You know what I mean? Xavier Sobeys can do like 300 to 500 people. I think he could do that in New York, maybe some major cities, but like he's not going like nationwide to like Utah. You know what I mean? Do the underground artists that get paid, or are they invited to Rolling Loud? Okay, so smaller artists are invited. They don't really get paid. But like a couple years ago, when Yeet was coming up, I remember talking to people around him, and the reason that I made a video on this, the reason that he dropped out of Rolling Loud, even though he was on the listing, he was going on his own tour and he was only getting paid $15,000 for Rolling Loud. But now, so Yeet is an exception because he actually has real fans, not real fans, but like he's got a large enough fan base and strong enough fan base where he can sell tickets and make a bunch of money. So yes, it is the right move for him to go on his own tour and exclusively perform his music only at his tours. Because why would he only want to make 15,000 now? Like, so if you go to like, say, let's go to the Rolling Loud 2025 LA. Who was on this? Okay, so Ken Carson's definitely getting paid. Like the top couple of rows are getting paid. Tyler's getting paid. Netspend's getting paid. That's where like the 15K is. Filthy's probably getting paid as well. Now, when you get to like Drown Millie, Yo Train, usually it has to do with and Hoosh and Ray Emanuel. Like I don't necessarily know them like that, but I would imagine they're not getting paid much, or they have like a connection with like management wise to Rolling Loud. Like when Osama Sun and Netspend were first coming up, they signed to Rolling Loud initially. Now I could imagine them paying, like Rolling Loud paying their artists to perform just because like that's a good omen. But at the time, I don't know if they were really big enough to really like get that large of a check. But yeah, a lot of this is management will get their artists on Rolling Loud practically for free. Because if you think about it, artists do get some fans from Rolling Loud or like just performing. Like that's why artists open for, like some artists for underground shows even pay, like not even big artists, to open their shows because it'll get them fans. It's almost like it's just guerrilla marketing. It's not internet anymore. But yeah, this is also a pretty small lineup. There are Rolling Loud lineups that are way, let's do 2024 Miami. Like there are ones that are way deeper than that. I can't even see, bro. I'm getting old. Oh man. Just give me the info, bruh. But I'm sure there's people at the bottom that, yeah, they're not like, okay, no offense to Sid Shine down here, but I'm almost positive bro ain't getting paid to do that. He's connected with Opium though, I want to say. By not necessarily Aaron managing him, but somebody within Opium was managing him at one point, so he had connections. But like at that point, it's just marketing. It's not like Rolling Loud is itching to pay him to get him to perform. Really, all they needed this year, as everybody knows, was just to get Playboi Carti on the lineup, and he dropped I Am Music, and that was like, they're probably shitting their pants ready for that to drop, because him performing I Am Music for the first time, like the day it dropped or the day or two after, like that got people real excited for coming to Rolling Loud. And it was very Opium dependent for sure. I mean, even ASAP Rocky you could say is like kind of Opium because he's ASAP Og, and Carti is literally signed to him. So like it's literally the whole Opium family on the lineup.